Hey YouTube, Girsu here. Today for you guys I'm going to be showing you a little bit of a retro deck profile. Now as you can see from the thumbnail that Dependent probably will put up for the video, it has Astrograph Sorcerer in it. This is a 2017 retro deck. This is Pendulum Magicians when it was at its complete prime. Talking like Astrograph Sorcerer, 3 Joker, Duelist Alliance, and Pendulum Call. All those cards, Wavering Eyes was at 3. This is actually right after the September 2017 ban list where they had Dryden and Broad Bull had officially got axed. So paved the way for Pendulum Magicians to basically, take their spot as the second most dominant deck because, as you all know, True Draco, in my opinion, was far superior to Zodiac in every way because of the simple fact. Now, if anyone has any disagreements to that, they can, feel free to think that on their own. But the way I look at it, I played True Draco throughout the entire Zodiac format, obviously after Maximum Crisis came out. And I can tell you, I literally never lost to Zodiac when I was playing True Draco. Because I always played the Floodgate versions of True Draco. I never played the, just a couple Solemns here and there. I always played the Floodgates. So I never lost to Zodiac. Zodiac is a dust for me. I'll polish that deck any day with True Draco. But anyways, Zodiac being gone really paved the way for Pendulum Magicians to shine because, Dryden was just so oppressive against their scales and everything like that, and the consistency of Zodiac was almost the same as the consistency of this deck, except the difference between this deck and Zodiac is this deck really had the Pendulum summoning on its side, so it was a little busted. I don't play Pendulum decks anymore because, unfortunately, I don't feel the same passion about them as I used to. I used to play Pendulum Magicians a lot. But I don't anymore because they completely just ruined Pendulums for me. In my opinion, I think, yes, soul charging every turn is a little busted. But instead of completely butchering the mechanic, they should have just made it and changed the rule that said if you Pendulum summon, you just can't special summon any other monsters from the extra deck for the turn. So I think that would be a little bit more busted. So instead of Pendulum summoning and then Link turboing or Xyz turboing and stuff like that, you maybe just put up a wall, and then you would have to play more of a control version where your Pendulum monsters are actually helping you win versus just your extra deck, your Pendulum monsters being used for extra deck plays. But anyways, let's get into the deck profile, guys. As I said, this has got a lot of banned cards in it, so don't leave comments down below saying that, oh, that's banned, so, because I know. But anyways, the man, the myth, legend himself, Astrograph Sorcerer. This guy is obviously banned for good reasons, but to be honest, he wasn't as broken until Electromite came out. Electromite is really what made this card busted because it could be abused so many times, and you could search it a lot easier by sending it off Electromite Summon. But in this deck, the only way that you could search it was with Wavering Eyes or with Time Star Magician, the Xyz monster. You could search a Dark Spellcaster. Or just opening it. So in this deck, he was really only for chain blocking and free bodies on the field, so it wasn't as busted. But if you don't know what this card does, if you're a new player, basically if a card you control is destroyed by battle or card effect, so you can trigger this in the damage step as well, you can special summon this card from your hand and then add one of those destroyed cards. Will you target one card in your graveyard, banished, or your extra deck that was destroyed this turn? Any card, it doesn't even have to be the card that was destroyed, and you just add a copy of that card from your deck to your hand. Pretty busted, right? Oh yeah, it's also not once per turn. So yeah, its scale effect doesn't come up until Link summoning, so I'm not even going to bother reading that to you. So yeah, triple Astrograph Sorcerer just pluses you insane. And then, yeah, we're allowed to have 3 Stratos, but we're not allowed to have 3 of this. That's fair, right? 3 Performapal, Skullcrabat, Joker. This is basically the Stratos for any Pendulum deck. When you summon this guy, you can search for any of your Magicians, any of your Performapals, or any of your Odd Eyes monsters. In this deck, you're only going to be searching, more or less 9 times out of 10, your Pendulum monsters. You can also search this guy too. But Yeah, this was just your Stratos. It was your best normal summon. You're basically your only normal summon in the deck. And it was a Dark Spellcaster. So it synergized super well with the Pendulum Magicians. And it was a level 4, 1800 attack. So we really put in a lot of work. So, yeah, I mean, just still baffles me how bad they treat Pendulum nowadays, where, like, the cards were every deck is allowed to have, but we're not allowed to have, like, 3 Joker. It's just fucking stupid. So, but anyways, back in the day when I was dabbling with this deck, I always played 3 of this card because opening this card is nuts. Because you're only going to pop 1 card. You're only allowed to legally pop 1 card in this deck because he can't search himself. But being able to pop cards like Double Iris Magician is just insane. So when he's special summoned, if you've seen my Pepe deck profile, you might know what this card does, or you should just know what this card does, period. But when he's special summoned, you can target up to 2 cards, destroy them, and search performance piles equal to the number of cards you destroyed. So, yeah. Basically, you special summon this guy, you destroy your Double Iris, you search for your Joker, and Double Iris will search for one of your graphs. So it's basically like a Pot of Greed for your deck without being Pot of Greed. The next is Double Iris Magician. He's also banned. Like, why? I mean, I'm sorry. They just have their heads up their asses, seriously. But this card is banned literally just because it searches for one of the most busted trap cards for Pendulum. But, yeah, basically when it's destroyed by battle or card effect, you can add a Pendulum Graph card from your deck to your hand, which is your spell or your trap, which I'll show you later in the deck profile. But basically, you would be able to trigger that off through many ways. Wavering Eyes, his own scale effect says once per turn you could target a Dark Spellcaster. And until the end of this turn, it does double damage. And you destroy this card so you can trigger his own effect. But you can't do that on turn 0 because you're not allowed to conduct your battle phase, so you can't technically do battle damage, so you're not allowed to even activate that effect turn 0, which is a little, fair. I guess, so you can't just use the card and it's like a searcher on its own. But yeah, so 3 of this, not once per turn either. Nothing in this deck is once per turn, so keep that in mind. Next, the MVP, the absolute best card in this entire deck was Purple Poison Magician. Now, people might look at this card now and think that this card wasn't a big deal, but this card was an absolute devastator during damage calculation, before damage calculation, actually. You can destroy this card, and you give the Dark Spellcaster that's battling 1,200? Yeah. Oh, excuse me, I had to yawn for a sec, guys. You give him 1,200 attack, and then it destroys this card, and that's at the start of the damage step. So basically what you would do if you had a card like, like Joker on the field, which is 1,800 attack, and they had a Masterpiece that was unaffected by traps and monsters, which is the best way to summon Masterpiece, so that's not uncommon. You would attack with this, and then at the start of the damage step, you would pop Purple Poison Magician, and then at the start of the damage step it would trigger, because it triggers during the damage step. So you could pop a card and then run over their Masterpiece. So if they had Diagram on the field, it would be affected by spells, so it wouldn't be able to be destroyed by battle the first turn. But so basically you would attack, trigger Purple Poison at the start of the damage step, destroy it, destroy Diagram, and then destroy Diagrams off the field during damage calculation, so you would still be able to run over Masterpiece. So, cool little interaction there. But yeah, this card was just ridiculous. And when this card is destroyed, like I said, it destroys a face-up card on the field. Also not once per turn, too. So, yeah. And then 2 Black Fang Magician. You only needed to play 2 of this card. You only ever needed to play 2 of this card. You never played 3. You have enough high scales. In fact, this deck lacks low scales. But you never really had a problem getting to those. But Black Fang, when it's destroyed by battle card effect, you revive a Dark Spellcaster. And you could target a face-up card your monster your opponent controls, half its attack, until the end of this turn, and then destroy this card, so it triggers its own effect again. And the second best Magician monster was hands down Harmonizing Magician. This was your free Omega, your free Ignister, anything. It's a level 4 tuner brings out a level 4 magician from your deck. It's free Xyz plays and free synchro plays. The only downside is she can only be used as material with another magician, but like that's doesn't matter in this deck because that's all you're going to be using. So she can't be special summoned from the extra deck, so take that into consideration. And then the third best magician is Wisdom Eye. Basically, this guy is just your way so you don't brick, so you don't have either of the other scale. So if you only have 8 scales in Wisdom Eye, he could be your 1 scale, he could be your 8 scale, or vice versa. So that's really all he did. And then he also was like he would trigger Astrograph. Like you would put him in the scale, put your double iris in the scale, activate Wisdom Eye, put purple poison in the scale, trigger Astrograph, and get another Wisdom Eye to your hand. So he was your 1 card scale. This is like the monkey board of the deck, more or less. So, and then for the hand traps, you played Triple Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring. This deck was around after Maximum Crisis. So it was, I want to say this deck was in this form from September to February of 2018, which was round about the time Link Summoning came out. So yeah, you played Triple Ash. You had the space to play hand traps in this deck because it was just so consistent. This deck does not brick, period. I mean, obviously you can brick if you draw like Triple Ash and like 2 Wavering Eyes. Yeah, but that's just bad luck. But like Ash was just so devastating back in the day. This was actually like play stopper back in the day. Nowadays Ash is just like whatever. If you get ashed, you could play through it. So. And then everybody's favorite fucking card was at 1, and it deserves to be banned long before that. But Maxi. Anybody who says that this card is healthy for the game, even at 3, you're completely wrong, and you do not know how this game works. This card is absolute cancer. Whoever has this card, whoever activates this card first, wins the game, period. There's no you either activate this card, your opponent does nothing, doesn't let you draw cards, and then you go TK them, or they overextend, give you a bunch of cards, and you kill them. There is no in between. There is no, oh, well, I'll just stop and give them an Upstart Goblin or something. This card is cancer. If you think otherwise, you literally should just stop playing Yu-Gi-Oh, honestly. But you had to play it because it was allowed. I would play this card at 3. Now, I'm glad it's not at 3, but if it was, I would play it. But if you think that this card is healthy for the game, you're a moron. I'm sorry. That card is disgusting. Now for the spells. Go Triple Wavering Eyes. They released this off the ban list, actually, when they banned... I want to say it was the same... I don't know if it was the emergency ban list in June, when they emergency banned Norden. In fact, no, it wasn't. That was the September ban list. Yeah, that was the September ban list, right when this deck, right when Zodiac got banned. They put this back to 3. This card's ridiculous. You could search Astrograph and then trigger it right after you search it. You could destroy Double Iris Edition to get insane pluses off this card. I'm glad this card was back to 3 and it hasn't been touched since then because now it's just... No one even plays this card anymore, and it's fucking retarded because nobody really plays Pendulum, so it was really devastating in mirror matches, but it's not good anymore. And then Double Desires, I never played 3, never should play 3. Double Dual Slides, this card also came out in Maximum Crisis back in the day, and this card was just absolutely nuts. This searched for, let's see, it had... I want to say 7 targets, 6 or 7 targets. Maybe I might be over-exaggerating. But you had 1, because it always treated as a Pendulum Dragon card, so you could search it. 2, yeah, I think I over-exaggerated how many targets you can search, but 3, 4, 5. Or 3, 4, 5. Yeah, so I was 1 off. But yeah, that's searching for any card with Pendulum in its name if you have a scale. So... I mean, it's once per turn, but, that's why I don't play 3. So you'll see this card. This is just your backup plans for searching out your scales or searching out your graphs. And then double Pendulum Call. This card was at 3 as well, but you did not play 3 of this card. There was no need because you ran 4 copies of it with Duelist Alliance, so you don't want to draw too many of it. You only want to resolve this card once. And this actually was not that great in this version of the deck because you wanted to destroy your scales, like with Double Iris Magician and Purple Poison. But this card has a really good interaction with the trap card because if the trap card is like Dryden, you could target a Magician, Pendulum you control in your scale or in your monster zone, and a card your opponent controls, and you just pop them. But if it doesn't destroy 2 cards, you can just send one other card your opponent controls to the graveyard, or just 1 card on the field to the graveyard, but you're not going to send your own. So basically, if you had Pendulum Call, you set the trap, and a Pendulum Call would protect your scales from card effects. So you would pop a card your opponent controls, yours wouldn't be destroyed, and then you just send another card. Or if you had Purple Poison Magician in your scale, you would just pop the Purple Poison, pop a card they control, trigger Purple Poison's effect, pop another card. This card always pops 2 cards, so yeah. That's like one of the niche interactions with Pendulum Call that made it really good. And then you got Pendulum Graph. Your opponent can't target spellcasters with spells, blah, blah, blah. That didn't really come up. But if a Pendulum Magician leaves the field from this Pendulum Zone to the Monster Zone, you just add another Magician. So basically, it's mandatory too, so it always had to be Chain Link 1, which wasn't the worst thing in the world. But this card was just insane. If you had opened this card with like Wisdom Eye, it's just bonkers. So this was your free plus. You always want to have that on the field because that was just how you refilled your hand. And then I already explained to you what this does. So you played 2 of this 2, but you needed to play 2. You didn't want to play 1 because if they outed the first one with like Ghost Ogre or Cosmic or Twin Twisters or something like that, you're going to want to have a backup plan. So that's it for the main 40 cards. Let's get into the extra deck. A couple of synchros. Synchros were just ridiculously easy to make. 3 the most that I always went into. Now I'm 2 or 3 cards short in the extra deck because you played 3 Omega, but I only have 1 Omega unfortunately. So this should be 3. Take that into consideration. So 3 Omega. Ignister was always at 1 and is still at 1. But this was just really good for outing. Cards that couldn't be targeted or whatever. And then Beals, you would make this card against True Draco, and then you just won because it can't be destroyed by card effects, and it can't be destroyed by battle either. And then it just keeps getting bigger every time you take damage. So you would make this against them, and they would just lose. So yeah, remember, like I said, you would play 3 Omega. So for the last of the synchros, played 1 Black Rose, 1 Scrap Dragon, and 1 Stardust Dragon. Stardust was just, it was okay, but it was really good for protecting you against like Regeki and Dark Hole and Slumber and stuff like that. Scrap Dragon was nuts too because you could pop like your Double Iris, pop a card they control, and then Double Iris would give you back a card to your hand. Or pop a Purple Poison, pop a card they control. This was basically your trap in the extra deck. So, and then Black Rose because you can normal summon Ash, or just Pendulum summon Ash, and then make it, blow up your field, and get pluses off destroying your own cards. So. And for the Xyz, he played the best one, Double Time Star. It takes 2 Magician Pendulums to make it, but you can detach an Xyz material from this card and search any Dark Spellcaster. So that's any Dark Spellcaster. You can search Joker, Astrograph, any of the Magicians. Yeah, pretty good. And then also if your Pendulum card in the Monster Zone or Pendulum Zone would be destroyed by battle or card effect, you just Foolish Burial a Spellcaster from your deck instead. So it was like a mini Girsu. So this also really did well with the trap card too, because if you would target your own card to destroy, you could just send a Spellcaster instead and then send another card with the trap card. So, and then for the last of the extra deck, the last 4 Xyz monsters I played. Like I said, this is only 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So you would play 2 more Omega, and then you would play Tornado Dragon, but I, for the life of me, cannot find my Tornado Dragon anywhere. So there'd be a Tornado Dragon in here as well as 2 more Omega. That would be 15. But Dweller is obvious. Play Dweller against True Draco. Castell is obvious. Diamond Dire is obvious. And Trapeze Magician because this card would OTK. This was like your Boral Sword back in the day. So yeah, that's it. Like I said, at the start of the profile, Most of these cards are actually limited and or banned. This is just kind of a retro deck profile I wanted to show you guys. Kind of pay homage to Pendulum because it's like a forgotten summoning mechanic now, and I feel really bad. But I've had this deck. I actually was playing it the other day versus Full Power Zodiac. So let me know if you guys want to see that in the comments below. That matchup was pretty freaking insane. This deck is just absolutely bonkers. But also let me know in the comments too. I was thinking of making an actually like legal version of this deck that you could play now, take it to a tournament now that's not banned and stuff like that. So also let me know if you guys want to see that too, because I'll gladly make that for you guys. I got a couple more deck profiles coming up. Sorry that I've been a little short with the content lately. I just moved into my new apartment today, so I've been really busy doing a lot of stuff. But yeah, like, comment, subscribe, guys, and yeah, Girsu out.